The ACT Party was founded by Roger Douglas. He founded ACT to complete his extremist neoliberal agenda. An agenda of tax cuts, privatisation, asset sales, deregulation, and union busting. That was what Roger Douglas spent the 1980s doing. He cut the top tax rate in half and funded it by introducing GST. In other words, he gave wealthy New Zealanders a massive tax cut and funded it by making working class people pay more. Ever since, poor people have been paying tax on vegetables so top income earners can be richer. That is the unjust system that he ushered in. He engaged in extensive privatisation and asset sales. New Zealand lost control of key, strategically valuable assets. Economic inequality skyrocketed. It has been skyrocketing ever since. It has created a class society, a society defined by huge power imbalances that undermine freedom and democracy. A society where the rich and wealthy have more power than ever. They pour their money into elections, they treat them like auctions. That is the society that Roger Douglas ushered in. He totally destroyed the Labour Party from within. Backed by a few scheming fanatics, he implemented his agenda to the disdain of many Labour Party politicians and members. He tore the party apart. National benefited from the chaos, they won power, and they continued the neoliberal agenda. They decimated the trade unions and crippled workers' entitlements. They gutted the welfare state, doubling child poverty in the process. They continued with the privatisation and the deregulation. New Zealand has never recovered from the neoliberal era. Everything has gotten worse since. Economic inequality has skyrocketed, child poverty is widespread, house prices are higher, homelessness is more prevalent. The neoliberal era did enormous damage to the lives of ordinary people. And Roger Douglas was the chief architect of that era. ACT has been tasked with completing that project. That is why they do what they do. That is why they abolished trade union empowering legislation. That is why they want to freeze the minimum wage. That is why they cut sick leave for part-time workers. That is why they opposed anti-slavery legislation. That is why they voted against a bill that made it a crime to steal workers' wages. That is why they want to raise the retirement age. That is why they want to abolish the foreign buyers ban. That is why they have orchestrated rising unemployment. That is why they want to give rich people huge tax cuts, funded by cuts to public services. It is all part of their anti-worker neoliberal agenda. They are rabid fanatics who want to complete what Roger Douglas started. Last election, Roger Douglas denounced ACT. He said he thought they were too extreme, too shamelessly pro-wealthy. Roger Douglas did enormous damage to this country with his radical neoliberal agenda. And now he says ACT is too extreme. Too extreme even for him.